If you're the kind of person who thinks silence means safety, let me tell you, sometimes silence screams. Sometimes the real betrayal doesn't come with lipstick on a collar or a hotel receipt in a pocket. Sometimes it's in a perfectly made cup of coffee, placed quietly on your desk the morning after your wife sells out your marriage for an adrenaline hit. That morning, the one I'm talking about, started with fresh blueberry muffins. Marlena baked them, from scratch. I bit into one and immediately knew something was wrong. Not with the muffin, but with her. She hadn't baked in years. Not since Emma left for college. Not since Jasper, our dog, passed. Not since she slowly stopped looking at me when I spoke. So no, this wasn't affection. This was penance. The night before, she'd said she was visiting her old coworker, Lana. They were doing a girls-only wine and spa thing. I didn't question it. I should have. But instead, I told her, have fun, like a complete idiot, then spent the evening alone, reheating chili and fixing a cabinet hinge. At 12:43 a.m., I got a text. Back late. Don't wait up. Love you. Short, distant, and somehow colder than if she'd said nothing at all. I barely slept. I don't even remember hearing her come in. But now, here she was, the next morning, placing muffins on the counter and humming something upbeat like she hadn't just detonated a bomb while I was asleep. She sat across from me and said, "We should talk." That was when she told me, calmly, like a weather report. "I went to a party last night." She said it just like that. No emotion, no hesitation, like she was reading off her grocery list. I thought she was joking. I actually laughed. I asked if she'd been watching too much reality TV, but her face didn't change. "I didn't plan on participating," she said, buttering her muffin. "But things happened, and I think we should explore this. As a couple." That's when my world split. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stared at the knife in her hand as she spread butter like it was any normal day. And all I could think was, she traded 25 years for a night of strangers and body oil. And now she wanted to explore it together. That was just the beginning. I hadn't even checked the voicemail yet. Or the photos. She said it was just one night, and that it didn't mean anything. But why did it feel like everything in our life had suddenly collapsed into that single, stupid sentence? I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. My mind was trying to glue reality back together while she chewed her muffin like she hadn't just detonated a nuclear bomb on our marriage. My ears were ringing, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to scream or vomit. I remember staring at her hand. No ring. When did she take it off? Before the party? In someone else's car? Or in a bedroom I'll never see, with people I'll never meet? She slid her phone across the table and said, "If you want to look, go ahead." I didn't hide anything. And that was maybe the most insulting part. How casual she was about it. Like offering me the remote. I should have refused. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Because I'm not the kind of man who walks away. No. I sat there and opened her photo gallery, hands shaking like a caffeine addict on withdrawal. The album was named Thursday. Just Thursday. Inside were 27 photos. Some innocent. A table with wine glasses. A blurry shot of a woman in fishnets. A mirror selfie of Marlena with someone else's lipstick smudged across her jawline. And then the worst ones. The kind that shouldn't exist if you respect the person you come home to. I'll spare you the details. But let's just say, she didn't just observe. Still, I didn't say a word. I got up, walked upstairs, and sat in the closet with our old photo albums. I don't even know why I pulled them out. Maybe I needed to see proof that what we had once was real. That there was a time when I wasn't just some placeholder husband while she chased her midlife thrill ride. She didn't come upstairs. Didn't follow. Just let me sit there with our memories while she washed the dishes like everything was fine. And then I found it. The voicemail. It wasn't from her. It was from someone named Theo. A man's voice, smooth, confident, clearly amused. He said, "Hey Marlena, can't stop thinking about last night. You're something else. Tell your husband I said, thanks for letting me borrow you." That message broke me. Borrow. Like she was a car. Or a book. Or some casual toy passed between people with no skin in the game. But I had skin in this game. I had everything in it. I walked downstairs, shaking, and asked her, "Who's Theo?" She froze. Her whole face changed. The color drained like someone pulled the plug on her soul. She whispered, "He wasn't supposed to call." And that's when I realized, this wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't just one night. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I laid on the couch, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling fan spin in slow, mocking circles. Marlena didn't come down. I heard her walk past the stairs once, maybe twice, but she never checked on me. Not even a whispered, "Are you okay?" Just silence. But I wasn't okay. I was unraveling. By morning, I had a plan. Not a good one. Not a healthy one. But a plan fueled by that tight, burning pressure in your chest when you realize your reality is a lie. I waited until she left for her yoga class, which I now fully doubted was anything but a cover. And then I pulled her laptop out from the bookshelf cabinet where she hid it like a guilty child hides candy. She hadn't logged out of anything. Her emails were there. Her message threads. Her browsing history. It was all there. Theo was not a one-night mistake. He wasn't even new. They'd been texting for over 4 months. At first, it was flirty jokes. Then invitations. Then photos. And finally, plans, detailed ones. About meeting. About what she'd wear. About how safe I was, how passive. How I'd never ask questions. I was her alibi. I was the camouflage that let her cheat in peace. What broke me wasn't just the cheating. It was the way she described me. Vernon's harmless. Sweet. A bit of a ghost in his own house. That's what she told Theo. A ghost. I don't know how long I sat there reading. An hour? Maybe more. I went numb. I felt like a character in someone else's story, a disposable extra in the background of her exciting second life. And worst of all, a small part of me started to believe it. Maybe I was invisible. Maybe I made it too easy for her to forget me. But something else caught my attention, a hotel booking. Not for the night she told me about, but for next week. 2 nights, booked under her name, at a boutique hotel less than an hour from our house. The same Theo was CC'd on the confirmation email. So she wasn't coming clean. She was just preparing her next lie. I could have confronted her then and there. But something in me cracked in a different way. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to yell. I wanted to watch. I wanted to see how far she'd go if she thought I still believed her. And maybe, just maybe, I wanted her to prove me wrong. So I printed everything. The texts. The hotel confirmation. The photos. I created a little file. Paper, not digital. Something physical. Tangible. A dossier of her double life. And then I waited. 1 more week. Because if she wanted to treat me like I was invisible, fine. I'd disappear, right after making sure she felt it when I did. I circled the parking lot twice before I finally pulled in. My heart was racing so hard I thought I might pass out before even getting out of the car. The boutique hotel wasn't flashy. One of those expensive but low-key places with tastefully minimal signage and overpriced scented air in the lobby. Everything about it screamed secrecy, which, of course, was exactly what Marlena needed. I had no plan beyond showing up. I wasn't even sure what I wanted. Proof? Closure? Revenge? Maybe I wanted her to see me, really see me, and feel a fraction of the pain she'd stuffed into me like a ticking bomb. It was Friday evening, just like the first time. I wore a baseball cap and kept my head down, like I was doing something wrong. Funny how betrayal does that to you. It makes you feel like the guilty one. I waited in the lobby lounge, pretending to drink a soda I didn't order, and then, at 7:42 p.m., she walked in. Black dress again, hair curled, lipstick sharp as a knife. And Theo, he wasn't behind her. He was already waiting, standing near the elevator, holding 2 key cards and grinning like a man who didn't fear consequences. And why would he? I was the harmless ghost, remember? They didn't even talk. She walked straight into his arms. He kissed her neck like it was routine. And then they disappeared into the elevator. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I already knew what would happen next. Instead, I walked outside, into the night, into the cold. And I waited. This time, not for her return, but for my own clarity. And it came. Slowly, like the first flakes of snow that don't stick but still change the world around them. I didn't want her back. Not anymore. But I wanted her to know that I knew. And I wanted her to feel it. So I left her the file. When I got home, I laid it on the kitchen table. Everything printed, highlighted, neatly organized by date. Photos, messages, hotel confirmation, her own words. And on top, I left a sticky note that said, "Tell Theo he wasn't your first mistake, just your last." Then I packed a bag. Not all of it. Not everything. Just enough to vanish without warning. I didn't slam any doors. I didn't break anything. I didn't scream. I just walked out. And for the first time in years, I felt real. But the story doesn't end there. Because Marlena didn't stay quiet. No, That silence she once hid behind, it exploded into noise the next morning. I thought leaving the file on the kitchen table would give me a clean exit. A silent one. I imagined her coming home the next morning, seeing the evidence spread out like a crime scene, and finally realizing what she'd done. I pictured shock. Maybe guilt. Maybe, if the universe was feeling generous, a tear or two. I did not expect 19 missed calls in 2 hours. The first few were just her saying my name over and over, like she was trying to summon me back by sheer repetition. The fourth one had a crack in her voice. By voicemail 7, the gloves were off. Vernon, pick up. Please. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand what's really going on. That line rattled me. What I'm doing. I wasn't the one in hotel elevators making out with people who weren't my spouse. But what really got me was how she said, "What's really going on?" Like she was the victim and I had somehow misinterpreted the screenshots she willingly created. I didn't respond. I was in a cheap roadside motel 40 minutes away, lying on a bed that smelled like lemon cleaner and disappointment. My phone buzzed every few minutes, lighting up the stained ceiling like some twisted alarm system. Then voicemail 11 came. Vernon, you don't know who you're messing with. Theo isn't. He's not who you think. This is dangerous. Please. I need to talk to you face to face. Dangerous? Theo? The guy who bragged about borrowing my wife like a weekend appliance? I replayed that voicemail 3 times. I couldn't tell if she was scared or pretending to be scared, so I'd come home and smooth things over like I always did. But the tone, something was off. Not dramatic. Not manipulative. She sounded shaken. And then voicemail 14 arrived, and everything tilted. Vernon, something happened at the hotel. I need you. Please just call me. No details. No explanation. Just that brittle edge in her voice, the one I hadn't heard since the night her mother died. The kind of fear you don't fake. I sat up. My whole body tightened. Images flashed in my head. Did Theo hurt her? Did she have some medical emergency? Was this all some twisted trap? I didn't want to care. I shouldn't have cared. But 25 years is a long time to just shut off your humanity, like flipping a switch. I finally sent her a text. What happened? She replied instantly. Come to the house. Please. No details. No explanation. Just a plea. I almost didn't go. I sat in the car for a full minute, engine running, hands shaking, trying to convince myself that whatever mess she'd stepped into was her problem now. But my chest wouldn't let me leave it alone. So I drove back. And the second I opened the front door, I understood why she sounded terrified. The house was trashed. Not like a tantrum. Not like a burglary. Not like anything I'd ever seen. It looked like someone had been searching for something. And Marlena was standing in the middle of it, pale, shaking, holding a crumpled envelope with my name written on the front. The house didn't look like a robbery. It looked like desperation. Couch cushions slashed. Cabinets emptied. Photos torn from frames. Even the contents of the fridge had been dumped onto the floor like someone thought I was hiding secrets behind a bottle of mustard. Marlena stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, barefoot, trembling, holding that envelope like it might catch fire. When she saw me, she didn't speak, just slowly handed it over like she couldn't even say the words out loud. My name was scrawled on the front in black marker, and the handwriting was jagged, fast, like someone had written it in anger or panic. I opened it carefully, half expecting it to explode in my hands. Inside were 2 things, a single Polaroid photo and a handwritten note. The photo was of me. Not a selfie. Not a family picture. No, this was taken from a distance. Through a window. I was sitting in my home office, headphones on, completely unaware. Someone had been watching me, photographing me. The note was worse. You're not the only one who can play games, Vernon. You should have stayed quiet. She was mine. No signature. No explanation. Just that one 6 sentence. My stomach twisted. I looked at Marlena, and for the first time, she didn't look arrogant or cold. She looked afraid. Completely stripped of all that detached confidence she'd had the morning after the party. Her hands were shaking. Her voice was thin when she finally said, "He must have followed me home." I asked her, "Who is he, really?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Just a weak breath. I pressed harder. "You said he wasn't who I thought. Then tell me, who is he?" And finally, she cracked. "He's not some random guy from a party. I met him through Lana months ago. She warned me, said he had money, influence, that he was into dangerous stuff, but I thought she was just being dramatic. I never imagined, Vernon, I didn't think he'd come after you. So this wasn't just cheating anymore. This wasn't just betrayal. This was something else. Something darker. Theo had been inside our life longer than I realized. Quiet. Calculated. He knew where I worked. He'd been inside our home. If not physically, then psychologically, emotionally. He'd inserted himself like a parasite. And now that I'd exposed him, humiliated him by walking away instead of playing the jealous fool, he was lashing out. I looked around at the destruction in our living room and realized this wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of something much worse. I told Marlena, call the police. But when the officers arrived, they didn't find any fingerprints. No forced entry. No camera footage. Nothing but the photo and the note. It was like Theo had disappeared, but not without leaving a message. And that message was clear. You ruined my game. So now I'm going to ruin yours. I thought I could handle it. I thought after everything Marlena did, everything Theo sent, everything I felt, that I had finally hit emotional rock bottom. But there's always another level when you have kids. 3 days passed. No new voicemails. No broken windows. No slashed tires. I stayed in a hotel across town, off-grid, prepaid in cash, using an old laptop with a VPN just to Google the weather. I didn't even tell Marlena where I was staying. She still tried to call. I didn't pick up. I couldn't. But then I got the text. Not from Marlena. From Emma, our daughter. 22 years old. Just graduated. First job. First apartment. She still calls me Dad, with that soft tone that says she hasn't seen how broken I really am. Her message said, "Hey, weird question. Who's Theo? Got a call from him today. Said you were looking for him?" I stared at that message so long I forgot to breathe. Theo was calling my daughter now? I called her immediately. She picked up after 2 rings, completely unaware that her world had just been pulled into ours. He sounded off, she said. Like overly friendly, but also super fake. He asked me if I was proud of my dad, and then he laughed. It was gross. I hung up. I asked her if she gave him any info. Thank God, she didn't. But he had her number. That meant he knew her name. He knew how to reach her. And that meant he could find her. I told her to stay with a friend for a few nights. I didn't explain why. Just told her I was dealing with someone unstable and that I needed her to trust me. After we hung up, I called Marlena. I didn't want to, but I had to. Her voice cracked the second she heard mine. She'd been crying, probably for days. She didn't even ask where I was. He's out of control, she whispered. He never cared about me. I was just another project. I told her he'd contacted Emma. That got her full attention. I'll handle it, she said, suddenly shifting into some protective mode I hadn't seen in years. No, I told her. You won't. You've done enough. I went back to the house that night. Not because I forgave her. Not because I wanted to pretend things were fixable. But because now, we had a common enemy. And I wanted to look him in the eye if he showed up again. The lights were off when I pulled in. The driveway was empty. But there was something taped to the front door. Another envelope. No name this time. No threats inside. Just a flash drive. And written in red Sharpie. Just 4 words. Your family, your fault. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark with the flash drive between my fingers like it was ticking. Every possible worst-case scenario raced through my mind. Videos, blackmail, photos of Emma. I nearly snapped the thing in half just to avoid knowing. But eventually, I plugged it in. Inside was a single video file. No title, no context, just grainy footage. Theo, facing the camera in what looked like a hotel room, pouring himself a drink. He looked calm. Too calm. Like this was a game to him, and he was filming the final move. You made a mistake, Vernon, he said, staring directly into the lens. You walked away. You embarrassed me. You thought you could erase me. But I don't disappear. I evolve. You can't protect them all. The video cut off. That was it. No evidence of crime. No explicit threat. Just psychological warfare, dressed up in vague language and smug theatrics. But he miscalculated one thing. I wasn't afraid anymore. I had spent weeks drowning in betrayal, confusion, humiliation, and for what? So a man like Theo could keep twisting the knife while my wife wallowed in guilt and my daughter walked around with a target on her back? No, I wasn't playing defense anymore. The next morning, I made 3 calls. One to a private cyber investigator, someone with a reputation for digital cleanup and deeper tracking than the police would legally bother with. One to a legal team specializing in restraining orders, harassment, and digital defamation. and one to Emma, just to say, I love you. You didn't do anything wrong, and I'm making sure this ends. I also dropped off the flash drive and all the notes Theo had sent at the local police station. No more secrets. I told them everything, even the humiliating parts. Surprisingly, they took it seriously. Theo's real name wasn't even Theo. The man had records, restraining orders in 2 states, online aliases, a long trail of manipulations buried under NDAs and misunderstandings. It took less than a week for them to find him. He wasn't arrested yet, but he was put on a legal leash. And I made sure to push for everything possible. Marlena, for once, didn't argue. She signed everything I needed. She even stood with me when the police delivered the notice to stay away from our family. And that was when I finally looked at her, not as a stranger, not as the woman who broke me, but as the partner who almost destroyed everything and maybe regretted it more than I ever could have imagined. I'm not coming back, I told her. She nodded, quietly. No tears this time. I know, she said, but if you ever need backup, I'm still here. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't reunion. But it was something. Maybe the beginning of peace. A month later, I moved into a new place, small, clean, and mine. Emma helped me set up the kitchen. We laughed while struggling to build an IKEA table. And for the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Not a ghost. Not a victim. Just a man who walked through the fire and came out the other side whole.